It's the Real News Network. I'm Sharmini Pires coming to you from Baltimore. The protest in Gaza, the Great March of Return, is expected to reach a peak next week on May 15th. May 15th is the 70th anniversary of the founding of the State of Israel and also the 70th anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba, which is the mass deportation of most of the native population in Palestine. On this highly historic and sensitive day, the U.S. will transfer its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem in violation of international law and in defiance of the UN resolutions calling to end the Israeli occupation in Palestine. The U.S. has been the main mediator in the Israeli-Palestinian peace process since 1991. And in light of President Trump's policies and statements recently, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said that the Palestinians will no longer accept the U.S. as a mediator. He expressed some of his frustrations in March of this year.
More than one American official has said that settlements are legitimate. Their ambassador in Tel Aviv, David Friedman, has said that they, Israel, are building on their own land. Son of a dog, building on their own land? He is a settler. His family are settlers. He's the American ambassador in Tel Aviv. What can we expect from him?
Why is the U.S. the lead mediator for peace between Israel and Palestine? How did this historically come about? And are they the best nation to take a lead on bringing peace to the Palestinian and Israeli people? Well, let's speak to a historian on the subject, and Professor Ilan Pappe is going to join us for that. He is a historian and activist. He teaches at the College of Social Sciences and International Studies at the University of Exeter in the UK and is the director of the university's Center for Palestinian Studies. Ilan Pappe used to teach in Israel at Haifa University, where he exposed critical documents and revealed previous unknown facts about ethnic cleansing of Palestine in 1948. He has written over 20 books. He joins us from Exeter, London today. I thank you so much. We are privileged to have you here, Ilan.
It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Ilan, why do you argue that Palestinians are better off without the U.S.?
Well, the reason is a retrospective historical analysis going back to the aftermath of the June 1967 war, when American mediation became hegemonic and dominated the peace efforts. And ever since that moment, the negotiation ended in loss of land for the Palestinians, expropriation of land by the Israelis, and every year that passed, under the umbrella of American mediation, life for the Palestinians in the West Bank, in the Gaza Strip, and wherever they were, became harsher. And because of this alleged peace process, it was very difficult to recruit international support against the continued Israeli oppression and colonization.
Ilan, historically, before the U.S. assumed this role as the mediator and got involved, who was talking about bringing peace? Who were the main players and negotiators?
Well, during the mandatory periods when Britain was ruling Palestine, Britain was the main mediator, and the Palestinians did not fare better under their mediation. Between 1948 and 1967, there was hardly any mediation effort, but if there was any, it was conducted by the United Nations. The United Nations position was a bit better than that of the Americans, but as you know, this international organization then and this international organization today doesn't have any teeth, and therefore its mediation efforts usually do not lead to any significant change in the reality on the ground.
Now, Ilan, historically, over these 70 years, no one has really been very successful as mediators. What options do the Palestinians have? A mediator that Israel would accept, and where the decisions made under such negotiation would stick? Or are we even there to have that kind of a dialogue at this time?
Well, I don't think the issue now is finding a mediator. The issue is really changing world public opinion and perception about the essence of the problem in Palestine and what needs to be done in order to change the reality on the ground. What you need, I think, now is more or less what you needed in the last days of apartheid in South Africa. You need sustained international pressure on Israel, first and foremost, to end the oppression, to end the occupation, and only then to start proper bilateral, direct negotiations. So I think if we will be now looking for a new mediator, this will not change the reality as much as would a sustained campaign of pressure and a recognition that the problem in Palestine is not the lack of peace, but the continuation of the colonization that has started 100 years ago and has not ended ever since.
And Ilan, would you argue that that sustained campaign for international attention and making people more conscientious about what's going on in Palestine needs to be peaceful?
Well, I think that, the term peaceful sometimes means that Palestinians are not allowed to have a popular resistance, which I think they do. Of course, it would be much better than resorting to suicide bombs or launching of missiles. But I think the main issue, if I may add, is not just the sustained pressure. The sustained pressure needs an end game. And I think we are waiting for the Palestinians themselves to redefine the liberation project in light of recent developments and put forward their vision of a democratic Palestine in which Jews and Arabs could live together as equal citizens. And I think that once the end game is clear, also the methods of bringing it about with the help of international pressure would be clearer. And therefore, it's not so much a question of peaceful protest as much as a clear vision, a clear end game to which these protests would lead to.
Ilan, I thank you so much for joining me for this segment 1. Please join me again for segment 2, where we will continue this conversation with Ilan Pappe.